Almost a full day was spent laying track in preparation for the engine's removal from the park. In some spots, the track was lightly ballasted to support the weight of the heavy engine. While final preparations are completed on the track, volunteers from the San Bernardino Railroad Historical Society are busy preparing the locomotive for the move. Lubrication is being applied to as many moving parts as can be reached. As the time for the locomotive's move drew closer, the volunteer group working on the engine gathered for a group photograph. A temporary lubrication system was rigged to supply oil to the bearings as the engine was being moved. As cables were attached to the front of the locomotive, rail bolts that had been used to prevent the engine's movement were removed with cutting torches. Finally, the last obstacles to the engine's freedom had been eliminated. Soon the slack came out of the cables and the locomotive began to inch out of its prison in the park. For the first time in 28 years, the locomotive was moving again. Any doubts the group may have had concerning whether its wheels would turn or not vanished as the engine rolled free immediately. It was great news that none of the bearings had frozen during the engine's protracted stay in the park. Even though it was a slow process, a large group of onlookers patiently watched as the engine continued to inch out of the park. To the delight of the crowd, the bell on the locomotive was rung, resulting in spontaneous applause. Who knows what might have happened if they had been able to blow the whistle. It would take most of the day to move the engine from the display track in the park to the Santa Fe main line. Once the engine was clear of the park, the temporary snap track was moved again. This time the track was angled toward a yard track where the engine would roll back onto Santa Fe rails. Later, with the engine back on the Santa Fe, a switch engine would pull the locomotive to Colton, where it was parked on a spur. There it would be interchanged with the Southern Pacific Railroad. On May 3, 1986, the SP dispatched 2 SD9 switch engines to the spur in Colton. After coupling to the locomotive, the SD9s would spend the next several hours pulling the engine over the SP main line to Fontana. Leaving the main line, the switch engine swung onto the branch line that serves the former Kaiser Steel plant, now owned by California Steel Industries. This would be the new home of the 3751 and the restoration headquarters for the San Bernardino Railroad Historical Society.